Sly is watching. Sly. Okay. Sly is joining. Yes! We did it! Oh, and we're live over here too. Hello, everyone.
Somebody's echoing.
Maybe. Let's see.
I think it's Alexis. I hear myself.
It's always me.
Okay,
It's always me.
hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
friends.
Hello over here. Okay, someone is obviously missing right now.
Is that better?
Hi, JJ.
Hi,
everybody.
JJ.
Is Alexis the drama? Alexis is
always the drama.
I think I'm the drama. Am I the drama? I think it's me. I'm not the drama. Yes.
Okay.
At least for me. We're all good. We're all here. Woo! We did it. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. So someone is obviously missing. Our lovely Liz, at producer Liz, is sick. She has no voice. So we're wishing her well. She's in the chat over on YouTube and Twitch. If you want to read her thoughts, she's typing them all out as furiously as she can. So go over here and see all of Liz's thoughts. She's also live tweeting the show. So you can go to her Twitter. All the links to all of those things are on Liz's link tree on her TikTok page. Yeah, so that's it. We're here, and nobody knows how to start.
Do you want me to start? You're doing great so far.
Okay. Well, we never do this when Liz is here because Liz just likes to get into it right away. But I just want to know how everybody's week has been. How are you doing, Sly?
I'm alive. I just got power back like 45 minutes ago. So I woke up at 7 and I had power. And then I fell back asleep for a little bit and I woke up again at 7:30. No power. So my full day has just been, setting up everything to exist with no power. So it's been a long day, but I'm here. I made it here. I'm so surprised, but it's fine. Everything's great now. I get to see you too. It's amazing.
Yeah, all day we were texting to plan the show, and at one point Liz is like, I can't do it, I'm too sick. And then at one point I was like, does Sly have power? They haven't answered all day. And then they were like, yes! And it was 20 minutes before. We were like, yeah, let's do it!
Well, in the middle, there was low-key panic as Marissa and I tried to figure out how we were going to do it by ourselves.
Yeah, it was stressful. How are you, Alexis?
Okay, I'm sorry. I just saw the comment pop up.
Hi, JJ.
I am emotionally, I'm okay. I'm fine. I will say I am a little bit anxious about the future of the story with some characters that I love that most people don't. But I will say I was not surprised about 911, but I am very depressed about it. So that's how I'm feeling.
Well, you just watched Hawkeye, right? So was that helpful or hurtful?
Neutral.
Because Sly just got power, watched the episode.
Got power, watched the episode, and joined the show. A busy day.
Yeah. Alexis, how are you?
I'm good. I am full of nutrients. I made it here in time. It's been a crazy week, but I'm good.
Yeah. We're doing it. We're here. Okay. Do we want to start with your game, Alexis? Do you want to set it up?
I don't want to start the game, but I want to start with the game.
Set it up.
Okay.
One
and
of
then
us
I'll make
set it up. Yeah.
Somebody else start. Did we decide on 20 seconds? 20?
Whatever.
So, okay. So I want everybody to do a recap of the episode in 20 seconds, which is going to be fun because Sly will remember the episode really well, but Marissa and I aren't sure we do.
I watched it twice on Wednesday. Okay.
I guess
I
Marissa,
think
you're
that
starting.
I should go last then because I just watched it.
You just watched it. Okay. I'll go second.
Okay. I'll go first. I watched it twice, but they were on the same day, and it was I've watched it first. I watched it first. Other people have seen it more recently than I have.
I watched it once, but with my mom, so that was a different. a different experience.
Yes, I watched it once right when I woke up, and then right before I went to sleep. The second time was with my brother, so it was, Okay, I'm ready. I think maybe I don't remember how the episode starts, but that's fine. Okay. So I don't remember how it starts, but then at some point they were like, we need more trick arrows. So they go to the larpers, and then they get a cop to break into the evidence collection and give Clint back his arrows, and then also at the same time the larpers agree to make them new suits. Oh, and then
you're done. You're done
halfway through.
Started. Damn it.
Great.
I went really far into detail on things that were not important.
It's okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so Kate and Clint have a really weird interrogation with stepdad Jack, who does not belong on this show, and evil mom. And then Clint tries to be dad to Kate, but not his own children. And then the LARPers steal arrows, and then there's a really bad fight scene on a roof. And people are really concerned about a watch. Okay.
That was so good. Okay, Sly.
All right. Okay, we have an interrogation between the parents and Clint and Kate, and it's dramatic, and her mom's overbearing, and then they're trying to get the watch back, and then they go to the LARPers to break into police evidence, and Clint has frozen alcohol ice packs, and then there's a devastating scene where he's talking about not being a hero.
And also Yelena. Wow. That was a great idea, Alexis.
You're welcome.
20 seconds was not enough.
Wait, I listened to a podcast where they did it really seriously. Like everyone had these like paragraphs of explanation of like a summary of this episode. And I was like, but what if we do it really fast and badly? That will be fun.
I just learned that
next time, 30 seconds.
We can like add 10 seconds each episode. I just learned that the YouTube stream right now is called Hawkeye After Party, in parentheses, all caps. Yelena is here. As it should be. Okay. That was great. Do we want to go to rants, or do we want to talk about something else first? We just did a timer thing. I feel like we should break up the timer things.
We can talk about how we felt about the episode.
Yeah.
Talk about how we felt. Because I know that we all have fairly similar feelings about this episode.
Well, I don't know. I think Marissa and I have different feelings about this episode.
Yeah, I think
okay. So Marissa
and Sly and I. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've been very vocal about my feelings about this episode, and Alexis was like, I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Let's put Alexis in the middle of us to just like bookend.
You want me to start? You started last time.
Yeah, go for it. It's fresh in your mind.
It's so fresh. So, Jack is getting more and more interesting, but the mom is not. I don't like that. I want more Eleanor. Not enough Echo. here, but I really like Kazi. So that was exciting. I wanted more Kazi, so I can't like complain about that. I'm still shocked that it's I'm exposing myself here. I watched the episode and I thought that they called the watch a Rolodex and not a Rolex. And so when I learned that, that was a little bit of a shock for me. But now I understand it's a Rolex. A little bit less interesting. But we'll see. What else? Yelena is amazing, and I'm so excited to see more. I'm happy that they waited to introduce her, because I feel like if they introduced her at the beginning, it would just be too much. So many different characters, and waiting for her, because everybody knew she was going to show up, right? And so waiting for her meant that we got to meet all the new characters more.
I would argue, based on my TikTok comments, not everyone knew she was coming, which was surprising to me because they've made it very clear. I made that video where I was like, this is what I want from the second half of Hawkeye. And conveniently, I posted it the night before this episode came out. And then like half of it was Yelena because I love Yelena. And then everyone was like, hey, you were right. Wow, Yelena showed up. And I was like, well, yeah, we knew she was coming eventually. I'm not a witch. I just like pay attention. I don't know. I'm chronically online. I think maybe that's more of it.
I mean,
I know
my
too much information.
Has watched all of them, and she didn't know. Like she was like, "Why is Yelena here?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Why is Yelena here?"
Because she was hired to show up to take care of Clint.
And that's what I said. She was like, well, I didn't know that was going to be this show. And I'm like, well, where else would it be?
I mean, also, like when the casting for the show was announced, like when they announced Brian Darcy James was going to be in the show, they also announced Florence Pugh.
I'll say I didn't know that he was going to show
came
up.
Out.
I didn't know that Brian Darcy James was going to be in the show.
Oh.
That was an amazing surprise for me.
I am confused as to why, I don't know, Brian Darcy James confuses me because he so far has been in like 5 minutes of the pilot. And I'm like, is that your new brand now? Or are you coming back?
Yeah, and it's such a specific look.
Yeah.
The look was such a choice that there has to be something behind it. There has to be more there. But
like in Smash, he was also a weirdly minor character, which I didn't understand in that show either.
Also, sorry to disappoint everyone. This isn't really a spoiler. It's just how the show is structured. But he's not in a lot of West Side Story, and that was very disappointing too.
I'm like,
Officer Cupkey is like, he shows up and then he leaves, and then he shows up and then he leaves. But my brother and I both said after we saw West Side Story, Brian Darcy James, criminally underused, as he is in most things.
I know. Why is this? Is he that expensive? Because I don't think so.
Yes, JJ, that's exactly it. He always dips right before everything blows up. He left Next to Normal before it transferred to Broadway. He left Hamilton before it transferred to Broadway. He went back to Hamilton, and he went back to Next to Normal.
I feel like he stayed in Rotten Tomatoes, or no?
Something rotten.
Something rotten. I was like, I can't get this name. I know that's wrong.
He did the like. Let me give you a diatribe on Brian Darcy James's career. He did the workshop for Something Rotten. Then I think they did a Boston tryout. I feel like it was Boston. I don't know if that's true. They did a tryout, and then he did Hamilton at the Public.
Oh, okay.
And while he was doing Hamilton at the Public, Something Rotten was transferred to Broadway. It moved to Broadway before Hamilton. Like, he had committed to transferring with Something Rotten before it became clear that Hamilton was going to transfer.
Maybe he just, I don't know, maybe his team is having some issues.
I don't know.
Anyway, Marissa, how did you feel about?
Oh
no,
you have to go.
I'm supposed to feel things. Okay. This was not my favorite episode, but I am less invested in the shenanigans for whatever reason. So, like, this big interlude of like Clint being a teacher and like kind of a dad to Kate, I didn't need, like, or enjoy. And then I was not a fan of the Laura Barton is now an accessory to international crime situation. So to me, the rest of the episode, like, I was stuck on those two things. And so I didn't really like, but I've only watched it once, and I usually watch them 2 or 3 times before I do the live. So I may watch it again and feel differently about it. But I also feel like Lucky is being criminally underused.
Right? 100%.
Because I feel like the other Marvel animals have done great things, right? Like Goose ate people. The weird headless pig that I wasn't a huge fan of, like, got them through the maze, right? Like,
it's not a head. What? That's not what it is.
Whatever that thing is. Got
Morris.
them through.
Alexis is talking about Morris.
Okay, Morris got them through the evil wood maze. Alligator Loki, I guess, was kind of criminally underused too. But I feel like Lucky could do more if you just let him do more. And he's being sidelined, and it hurts my feelings.
I like how we have the Alpine rant alert for Lucky.
And I always picture, like, when my alert goes across, I always picture it being like breaking news. Right? Like, this is an Alexis Alpine alert. Okay, Marissa, your turn.
Okay. I liked the episode. This was my favorite episode so far. I think probably a lot of that had to do with YELENA, because I was just really excited to see her, because I love her. But also, I found that I started to care about what happened. I didn't really care about I didn't understand what the stakes were. And I didn't really know where things were going. It, like, the tracksuits didn't seem like that big of a threat. They're sort of like incompetent and like not well organized. And like I couldn't see like a mastermind above that, but I feel like we're slowly getting there. I agree with Alexis. I don't know what show Jack Duquesne is on, but it is not Hawkeye.
Not Hawkeye. It's like The Flash. It's not Hawkeye.
It is very that energy. I still don't believe that he is the big bad. I think Eleanor has to be the big bad. That woman has been a walking red flag since the very first episode.
Literally in red.
I don't know any more about her. I know nothing more about her than I did in the first episode. And if the like dancing to whatever that song is, it was really weird.
Okay.
If that is supposed to be, yes, Liz, she literally wore a bright red dress in episode 1. That was symbolic of her being a red flag. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
I will say, I think the importance of that scene is more like focusing on Haley's reactions, because they kept like cutting away to like her like having feelings about the two of them, and I think that was important. But the dancing itself,
I just gotta say,
nothing.
I love my parents a great deal. And if they randomly started dancing in the middle of a conversation, I would also have feelings about them that weren't positive. Like, so that's why it was weird to me. It was like, what is this standard for like her feelings? It's bizarre regardless of whether or not they're good people.
I think what am I saying? Oh, okay. I think that scene exists to like set Eleanor up as more sympathetic to Kate. To be like, Kate, look, your mom is happy. Maybe Jack's not the big bad. Maybe it's actually your mom. But like it's like, look, happy family, Kate. Don't you not want to interfere in this? I feel like that's what it's setting up. Haley's acting is doing the work. Haley is doing the work.
God bless her.
Every time I have a thought, Marissa just comes up here and expresses it perfectly. And I'm just like, that's what I was trying to say.
You guys, it's not on purpose.
All the time.
I'm not trying to be smart.
You're succeeding.
I don't know. My only excuse that I keep saying is this is what my degree is in. That's the only thing.
Last night I was like, I love you even though you're smart. Your smartness kind of ruins my day sometimes, but I love you anyway.
I mean, I am happy to talk about the branding if you want, but that's my focus.
Do you want to talk about in episode 2 the product placement of the Disney store and nothing else listed in Times Square?
Well, now we got the product placement of dailies. Like I think they had the brand on those. Too. On the frozen alcohol.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And every time they're like out and about, it's like so obviously like trying to set up that it's like New York, right? But they just like delete everything. And I get it, it's Disney, whatever, but it's just so funny. It's like, I know you want me to like this is a serious show and you want that, but you want it to feel more like lighthearted and like comedic sometimes. But when you're having a serious moment and all I can look at is that the store signs have been deleted, I'm not gonna pay attention to everything else.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about Eleanor being sus. We talked about
don't be suspicious.
Liz is like, move on. Talk about something else. Okay.
Let's talk about the fight scene.
Do we want to do the rants first? My rant is the fight scene. But
I was going to ask.
Okay, we could start with that. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't have a chance to ask this, but I was going to ask Alexis to give us a breakdown of the fight because I feel like there was.
Okay, the breakdown of the fight is it was a problem.
Great.
Here's the thing. Okay, is that I feel like darkness can be used in fights really well. I don't think it was used in this fight really well. I think it was kind of similar to, was it episode 2 that we had the framing issue, or episode 3 where we had the framing problem? 3. I feel like it was like similar to that in that the darkness was more used to hide motion. So it was very difficult to like clearly see what people were doing. And that may have like the idea may have been that it was hard for them to see what people were clearly doing. But like as an audience member, I want to be able to see who is winning the fight. And I couldn't really track that. And it had the thing with like fight scenes, right, is that when they are done really well, they tell a story in addition to what's being told in the episode, right? Like Shang-Chi is a really brilliant movie for that because a lot of the fight scenes tell the story that the dialogue isn't telling. So like the relationships between characters progress through these fight scenes rather than solely through dialogue, right? I don't think that this fight scene really added anything like to the character relationships, right? That like wasn't in dialogue, right? Like Clint choosing to like remove Kate from the fight, maybe a little, but that was also like explicitly told to us. It also had this weird like up down rhythm, or like down up rhythm, like down up, and it felt like because the fight was so short, by the end of it, that repetition felt overplayed. It's like one of those things that, like, if that down up is supposed to be like a signature of Yelena's or a signature of Clint's, like I would like to have seen it like once here and then in a later fight. But just like seeing it over and over in this fight, I was like, the fight assistant in tumbling this week learned to do an up down, and so now the entire fight is up down.
I had a question about the fighting because
Okay.
obviously I have no idea about that, but it felt like watching it that the power balance was off and you could never really like know who was like stronger, but you also didn't know if that was like a specific choice or if they were just trying to film and didn't get like the shots they wanted and so they just had to use whatever. But like that feels so lazy that I don't believe that, right? So like were they trying to say that they're all equal fighters or was it just bad choreography?
And like I feel like when you do that, right? When you're trying to tell a dialogue about power, you have to be like the audience has to be knowledgeable about each person's power individually. And I don't think that we are. I think that they've been so inconsistent with like Kate's ability and they've been really inconsistent with Yelena's ability. And like we haven't seen Clint before the show fight and like I don't know how long, right? And like actual sustained hand to hand. So it's like going in, I can't tell what the power dynamics like if the power dynamics in the fight are changing, right? Like if the point of the fight is to show me all of these people are equal, it can't because I don't know what their abilities are aside from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, I think, bugged me a little bit because the whole like Yelena reveal is almost beat for beat the Sarah reveal in Arrow. Like when he has the rooftop fight in the dark and like finds out that Sarah isn't dead.
That's what I was
It's the
thinking
exact
about. I
same
knew
reveal.
I'd seen something like beat wise before, but I could not.
And that's also a fight that was very like down up. It was like this weird acrobatic fight. And then like she reveals that she's Sarah and everybody's like, ah, right? So like, I don't know, that was weird too.
So the majority of the time I was watching, both times I watched the episode, I was just like bracing for the Yelena reveal. I wasn't really paying attention to how they were fighting. But then like after watching the episodes, I saw a lot of people talking about like, was Yelena holding back? Was Yelena going for the shot? Like, or was she trying to incapacitate people? Or was she just like, hey, I'm here now. I'm a problem for you. Like, I don't really understand what her goal of that fight was, especially because she not only took Kate out of the fight, she saved Kate out of the fight. Like, she could have just knocked her off the building, but she chose to, like, grappling hook her in and make sure she was not harmed.
That, I think, from my perspective, I thought that was a character choice because Kate is a young girl, and I think that emotionally would have resonated with Yelena. So I think that's like that character wise, like I understood that. But what I didn't understand was like the balance between Yelena and Echo and Clint. Like who was fighting who and why? And that was not made clear for me. And that was my biggest problem.
I
Yeah, I
also
feel
feel
like
like Kate reads to an outsider as working for Hawkeye or being trained by Hawkeye in a way that's relatable to somebody that has always been working for and training for someone in an interesting way. Yes, Marissa.
Okay. I had two things. The first thing is that Echo's role in it felt like, oh, it was convenient for them to be at Echo's apartment, so now Echo is a part of the fight. Like, I don't know what she was doing there, because it just was like, and also she's here and is throwing the one punch.
Yeah. She felt so underused.
Well, then it would have been cool to see parallel fights, right? Like, it would have been cool to, on the rooftop, see Clint and Yelena in this hand-to-hand, and Echo and Kate. Because that's really who Echo was after.
That would have been
right?
interesting.
Like, Kate's in the apartment,
Yeah.
so Echo is following Kate. And then the crossover, because they're all on the roof fighting at the same time. But I don't think that's how it read. Like, it just kind of read as like a weird mosh fight.
Also, Kate hit her right in the shoulder and she yanked it out.
That was the coolest part of the fight.
Ran away. And I was like, great, bye. The other thing was when Sly was talking about Yelena seeing like herself or the other widows in Kate, I think I finally realized what she was doing when she shook her head no to Kate. Because I've seen a lot of people saying like that was like a parallel to Clint deciding not to take the shot at Nat, but that didn't really like sit right with me. But I think now with what Sly has said is it's Yelena being like, don't turn into who they made me. Don't become this person. So
that
now I feel
really
good about
interesting with the conversation with Kate and Clint that I talked about earlier, where she said, "You're a hero," and he said, "I'm a weapon." And that was really interesting because that really resonated with me. And that, with what you said about Yelena, that's an interesting parallel.
Yeah. I also have seen, just because I need to know every single thing about Kate and Yelena possible, they are going to be seen together in the future of this series.
So exciting.
What did Liz just said? Like they want Kate to be her own hero, not turn into a weapon. Yes.
It would be cool if she was like introduced as the protagonist to her show, where she could become the hero. It would be cool if like Hawkeye was like about, you know, the character we didn't know. That would be interesting. Go ahead, Marissa. Sorry.
Okay. So my brother and I had a big conversation about this and how they should have done it. I was visiting my brother this week, for everybody who doesn't care.
He's 22. He's 22.
I'm 22.
Things that I learned last week. He's 22.
Not single and 22.
And he's 22. Okay, continue.
But we were talking about like how we're not super invested in the show and like we wish it could have been Kate's show. And he said, this I don't totally agree with because I don't love taking Nat's movie away from her. But he said that Black Widow should have been about like wrapping up Clint and Nat and like seeing what actually happened in Budapest, all of that, instead of just like throwaway scene, Budapest, throwaway scene where she's in a car and you like hear his voice. And like really diving into their friendship and their relationship and like him saving her, or like saving her, her defecting, and like that progression of them going through S.H.I.E.L.D. And also like along that they could introduce Yelena or like maybe run into Kate at one point. And then the show should be about Kate and Yelena.
I wanted, because in the Young Avengers run with Kate, where she's really introduced for the first time, which is not the book I recommend starting with, but it's where she's introduced for the first time, to be clear. She has come into Hawkeye on her own, right? Because Clint wasn't around. And so I thought it would have been interesting to set the show up in a flashback where during the blip where he's busy being Ronin, she has become Hawkeye. And so we're starting the show with her already at this level of ability, and that her relationship with Clint is more like them just trying to figure out like if their role is more like hero or weapon, right? And introducing Yelena into that rather than this being like a father, daughter, mentor, mentee disaster.
Yeah. I had a thing to say. What was my thing to say? When Kate goes to the LARPers and they're like, "Who are you?" And she goes, "Hawkeye sent me." I thought she was just going to introduce herself as Hawkeye. I was so excited.
I wanted that.
And there's a great, I'm trying to think of what comic it's from, but there's a really great like one panel comic moment where Kate interacts with Natasha and just introduces herself as Hawkeye. And Clint is still in the picture, and Natasha just does this like, like, oh, that's how it is now. Like you've just come into your own as like Hawkeye. But it goes from her in the comics always kind of like being like, well, I think I'm Hawkeye, I'm Hawkeye, I'm a really good archer, I'm whatever, to just being like, no, I'm Hawkeye, like that's it, like period. And so that's where I thought that moment was going to go as well, and that's not where it went.
Do we want to talk more about Yelena now, or do we want to go into our rants?
I feel like we have to do rants.
Let's rant.
Great. The man behind the curtain has brought up the timer.
I was waiting for us to get another wibbly wobbly Santa, super inflatable
like,
Santa.
Move on, let's go.
Move on, yeah.
I am the watcher.
There we go. Thank you.
Sly, do you have a rant?
That's a good question. Because
you didn't have time to prepare.
I have a few options.
We've got lots of time.
Yeah, I have a rant.
Okay.
Do all of them? No.
We'd be here all night.
Okay. Yeah, I have a rant. I could talk about that.
Okay. Am I gonna do Liz's too? I don't have defense behind Liz's. Okay, Liz says. Okay. Liz says everybody gets 30 seconds each.
Like 30 seconds total?
I think so.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
And she's going to put us on the big screen. Like that.
Then I think, yes, you need to do Liz's.
Okay. Then go in between me.
So Marissa, somebody else, Marissa Sly, Marissa me. Right?
Wait, now Liz says 30 seconds each for 6 minutes?
Yeah, I thought that's what she wanted.
What do you want us to do, Liz? Hold on.
Like 6 minutes total. So like 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30.
So, but if we have 4 rants, right, it would be 8 minutes as well, because Marissa is going to do the rant from Liz, right?
I don't know that I have 2 minutes worth, but...
If you can't finish it, I'll finish it for you.
Liz, okay. Liz says don't do hers, but...
Okay, fine.
Okay, we won't do Liz's. It's fine.
We'll not include you in your show.
Just so everybody knows, Liz was really upset. This is Liz's rant. There's no support behind it. Liz was really upset that Laura said, "I love you," and Clint didn't say it back on the phone. That was it.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, that's fair. That pissed me off too.
Their whole relationship pisses me off. Okay, somebody needs to go.
Do we want to just go in the order
Liz
just put us in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first. All right. Okay. 30 seconds on the clock. Okay, so Clint, you're gonna have a movie marathon with your surrogate daughter, but not your real daughter. Lila asked for one thing, and it was the bare minimum. She wanted to have a movie marathon with her whole family for Christmas, and you just said, "Oh, this 22-year-old kid that adopted a dog off the street, I'll do it with her instead. I'll teach her how to flick coins across the room so she can hit this old-fashioned TV that I've never seen except in my grandparents' house." Alexis, go.
I said the host muted my mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, my rant is about the fact that we're now referring to Black Widows as Black Widow assassins, and that really like shoehorns them into one thing, which would be unaliving people. We're actually like in the comics, the Black Widows have this long lineage of like really complicated, intelligent spycraft.
Okay, can we talk about how this show has 2 deaf characters, right? But one deaf actor. And the one deaf character that we see is the verbal speaking, relying on hearing and technology character, and not the actual deaf person. Like, why are you going to introduce a deaf person as a deaf character, but use the hearing person with a deaf character all the time?
Okay, also, terrible movie choice. It's a Wonderful Life was your number one pick. There were so many other movies in the stack of DVDs. Kate brought A Santa Claus, Polar Express, other ones that I don't remember from the list. It's a Wonderful Life. What is the why? That's just pain. Why would you watch that when you miss your family? What is the why?
Okay, so my rant about the Black Widows being unaliving assassins. Can I say assassins? I'm saying assassins. Okay, so unaliving people, right? Is that they actually have this really long lineage of spycraft, and spycraft in the Cold War in Russia is really fascinating because it's based on these psychological techniques that Americans were too lame to adopt at the time, right? And so being a spy during the Cold War was using psychology basically to grift and manipulate other people. And so I actually think with Yelena's character,
can we talk about how this deaf character is one of the best fighters in her comic stories, but here in the show is so underutilized that she can't do anything. Like, we see her like lose and lose and lose. Like, what's the point? Like, why are you gonna give us an amazing badass, like skilled deaf character who is like nonverbal signer, but not use them, not let them sign or fight?
Also, Clint, your actual daughter is stuck in this eldest daughter trope where she's asking for the bare minimum from her father, and he can't show up for it. He can't show up to watch a freaking movie. He has to do it with some random kid he met on the street 3 days ago. Poor Lila Barton. Poor Lila Barton. She's also apparently the only one that can understand if her mom is speaking in German. It's gotta be her dad on the phone. Cooper's too stupid.
But the other thing that it does is by calling them Black Widow assassins is it implies that that was Natasha's only role when we kind of know that it's not, right? Like catch and release doesn't really work if her job is solely to be an assassin. And so it would have actually been more interesting to me to see Yelena like show up as a pizza delivery person and then slaughter everyone rather than just like calling her an assassin and seeing her in this weird green-eyed mask fighting on the rooftop. Like for me, that does a disservice to who her character is supposed to be.
I get that we're going to see her character again later, like she's in her own show. But if you're going to introduce this character and not develop them at all, why am I going to be motivated to watch a new show all about that character, right? Like, you're giving me an underdeveloped character and saying, oh, just watch the show. There'll be more involved there. Why would I do that? I'm so disappointed with like the representation you're giving me with a white man.
And can I just say, furthermore, what is her name? Laura Barton is doing all of the work. She's running Christmas for her whole family, taking care of 3 kids, teenagers, while this man is gallivanting across New York City looking for a dress-up costume that he lost. And also, wait, I had another point. What was it? Oh, shoot. No. Oh,
no. Oh, no.
Okay, but the bigger issue, right, is that there's this weird thing that happens in humanity where women can actually be capable at being good at more than one thing. And so, like, instead of just unaliving people, she could also be good at spycraft and also be good at speaking multiple languages and utilizing psychology to manipulate people and really good at dance and all of the things that the Red Room taught. Well, the dance is that's a complicated. Anyway, let's talk for another time. But could be good at more than one thing, right?
So by only using like Clint as the deaf representation here, Marvel is perpetuating the idea that the only like benefit for a deaf person is if they're speaking and relying on hearing and technology and not if they're nonverbal signers. And that is so common throughout like society, and that's a problem, and they're continuing to push that narrative, and I don't appreciate it. Like, I understand I have privilege as a speaking deaf, but non-speaking deaf like deserve representation too.
thank
I
you,
will
Liz.
say in response to your rant, Sly, I felt like, oh, are we still going? Okay.
No.
I felt like I liked Kazi, right? But like I wanted to know more about his character because there was a minute where he was like looking so intently in the rear view. I was like, oh, can you not hear? Like, are you reading lips? And then that wasn't the case. So then I was like, but how do you know how to sign? I don't know why I want the answer, right? I almost want it to be that like he's a coda or something. I don't know, but I am interested in like why
does he sign?
yeah,
I want
and
to know that.
sign better, much better, much better than Clint. I'm just fascinated. I'm fascinated.
I remembered my last point, but I'm not going to interrupt this conversation. This is an important conversation. Okay. Sorry.
It's just so common to see like if we get representation, it's most of the time not positive. So seeing an amazing like skilled deaf person involved in this show and then not used is really disappointing when you have a hearing actor portraying deafness not well, when you have an amazing deaf person right there and you're not using them. Like that just so much like ableism, and that's really depressing when your like main character is, you know, deaf, and I'm using quotes because it's a hearing actor. Like that's really disappointing for me. And I'm just like upset that we don't get to see a non-speaking deaf character more developed. And I want to know so much more about Kazi and like their like connection, whatever that is, and that's not developed. But I like, you know, I appreciated seeing more of him here, but it was only in relation to Echo, which means like Clint didn't feel like he could like connect with her, which is, you know, that's a problem because that shows that separation, that like language barrier, and that I don't know. I should think about this more and rant about it next week.
I have a question, and then it's short, Missa. Do we know if Baby Echo was a deaf actress?
She's not.
No.
She's not. Okay.
It was so it was Alekwa, her cousin, who signs but is hearing but is related, and also indigenous. So that's important. But yeah, they're related.
She was just so good.
She was so good.
She was so good.
Oh, okay. My other point that I forgot is that Laura is stuck like being a homemaker and also the man in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
It's a weird vibe.
It's so weird. And it's like they're setting it up as like, isn't this such a positive relationship that he tells her everything about work and she does all of it for him?
It was so weird. Part of my brain was like, is she going to rip off a hollow mask and be Natasha? Like, I literally had this moment where I was like, is that what's about to happen? Like, is it about to be like, surprise? It's been Natasha all along. It was really, I almost like, if that's what they're going to do, I almost need like a backstory episode about how they met, because until now she was kind of set up as this like not in the military wife, like as a civilian military wife. But this is setting her up as like being much more involved in the parts of his life that she shouldn't know anything about legally. So I'm almost like, did you meet her at SHIELD? Like, was she like a incoming SHIELD agent and that's where you met? Like, was she a spy somewhere else? Like, did she work? Like, what is happening in this? Like, I don't know. It's weird. And I feel like it draws their relationship into more question, because I'm like, if you really loved her, why would you make her an accessory to international crime? I don't.
Do you want to talk about the Mockingbird rumor? We've got a reference to it in the TikTok comments.
God almighty. I will say.
Just say you don't like it. Just say.
Okay, here's the thing. I didn't know there was a Mockingbird rumor. Oh, if there's a Mockingbird rumor, it's highly problematic. Continue.
There is.
Especially because we've already had a Mockingbird. We already had Bobby. So like,
in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's extra weird.
Bob is my favorite.
Bobby was like one of the only pieces of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they did well. And
so perfect.
Yeah. Which was a weird choice at the time too, because they told Bobby's story just with not Clint. Like, it was exactly Bobby's story in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, down to the divorce. The divorce just wasn't with Clint, which was weird at the time, especially for them to introduce a family for him later. And
well, I'm gonna build on that. So if you want to keep going, keep going.
Oh no, my last point is just one of my biggest issues, I think, with this episode, well, with this series, I won't say particularly with this episode, is that I don't necessarily feel that it's inherently wrong to have a female superhero in this kind of mentee relationship. I do think I am tired of seeing it. I have seen it so often that I am 500% over it, right? And it becomes this issue of like, if you showed me more women in period, then you could show me many different stories, and then it wouldn't matter as much, right? But because the only way you have showed me women is typically failing, then it's an issue for me. This mentee relationship is an issue, right? And I feel like transitioning Laura into this kind of like Mockingbird role is also taking away this representation of just a mom that would just kind of be nice to see. Like, it would just be nice to see a woman in this world that wasn't running a company for her husband and doing all of his work for him, a la Pepper Potts, or, being a superhero. Like, it would be nice to just see a mom. Finished.
Yeah, I would love to see just a mom, but here they're like introducing her as more than that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we all know she's awesome. You don't need to add to that.
Also, I don't think Bobby Morris would ever wear that khaki skirt. Now it's your turn.
Khaki skirt. I was so upset. But like, talking about Clint and his family and like the choice to give him his family and to begin with, like the conversation where he's like, I did what I was trained to do. I hurt people. And like, I just kept hurting people. If that is what you believe your job is and what you have been trained to do and what the only thing of value you think you bring, why have a family? I'm not saying like he can't have kids, but if he really truly views himself as a weapon and only like a vehicle to hurt people, what about that like life? Where in his brain was he like, I'm built to hurt people. I'm gonna have kids. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. 'Cause especially like thinking back to how he talked about himself, like when he met Natasha, and even like up until sort of like
I didn't take.
I hated that.
And I knew it was coming, so I was like braced for it, like you would be a car wreck, and then it happened. Go ahead, sorry.
Just like if you think about like how he speaks about himself at that moment. I think he already had kids.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, I think that is it Coop? I think Cooper is 16,
He's 16
to imply that he had kids when he didn't take the shot.
I think so.
I think that was the point of that, but I also haven't done that math.
When did he join S.H.I.E.L.D.?
He said he's been doing it for 20 years, I think.
So he went to training, he became a specialist, and then he had a kid.
Uh-huh. And then he was sent after Natasha.
Nat.
Yeah.
So that training beforehand didn't show him that he was only going to be viewed as something to hurt people?
And he was already...
How did you not already get that
dropping
connection?
him off. He was...
Yeah,
like his whole...
people.
That's all he was doing until he met Nat.
And my assumption, for whatever reason, probably because it's vaguely comic adjacent, and this is where the fanfic writers went with it in 2012, my assumption was always that he was brought in as a specialist. That like he was already doing something that allowed him to unalive people, and he did it so well, S.H.I.E.L.D. brought him in. Because otherwise, his trajectory doesn't make sense in comparison to like Rumlow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Because I'm thinking about like the specialists from the show and how their stories are developed and how they, trained and picked up their skills, and trying to like apply that to his character, which may be like bad logic on my part, but whatever.
I don't know. I haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Some of it's good. Most of
Some of it was written by somebody whose name rhymes with Boss Leadin. In which all of the female characters fall for a character who is a Yahtzee.
Oh yeah, really tall guy, right?
They're brilliant and they're independent and they're strong, but their hearts belong to a Yahtzee, and so they will not survive.
All right.
On that note,
Liz is like, Alexis is about to go to a place we cannot go.
I don't know how long this game is going to take, but I do really want to talk about predictions and theories of where we think this is going to go.
And then predictions and theories?
We could do that.
We usually do 2 hours, right?
Yeah. It's worth the 1 hour.
Which is funny because when Liz and I started this show, it was like 55 minutes. Well, when I started doing the show with Liz.
It'll be shorter today because we only have 3 people talking, so we don't have to go on forever. But yeah,
Liz says predictions and theories.
I want to talk about my movie.
Okay. We'll get there.
We'll do that last. That'll be last. Happy finish, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Also, I thought I had been signing cheese this whole time, but I think I've been signing movie. No? What is this? What am I signing? Cheese?
Movie?
Close palm? What? Do that again?
Other hand.
Oh,
so there we go. Movie.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
thank you.
that one. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
You're fine.
Are we good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Hi. So we're going to talk about like predictions and theories and things that we think will happen. Because personally, I have no idea how this show is going to end. But I've seen a lot of people talking about a lot of things, and they keep putting out like promos and trailers with new clips and things. And I've got a lot to talk about. If you have predictions or theories or things you want to see or don't want to see, please put them in the comments. Liz is saying Mephisto. I think that makes perfect sense.
Everyone's Mephisto.
It's the inflatable Santa dude. He is Mephisto.
I like that.
Yes. Kate's aunt is Jewish.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I put that together now. That took me a second.
Yeah. Kate, enemies to rivals to frenemies to colleagues, sarcastic besties. Yeah. For real. Because we have to talk about Rogers the Musical every episode. I don't know if people have seen it, but there was a new clip of Spider-Man No Way Home released on Seth Meyers a few days ago with Tom Holland. You can go watch it. We won't show the clip now. We don't have to talk about what's even in the clip, except that there's a billboard for Rogers the Musical, which sort of gives us a clue as to when Hawkeye takes place. Maybe. I still have
that
no
very
idea.
something rotten as well. Musical.
It's a musical.
Okay.
So this made me think, if Rogers the Musical exists in both the MCU and the Spider-Man universe, and we get like a parody Avengers musical in a Spider-Man movie, does that mean that there's a place for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark in a Spider-Man movie?
No.
Like we have Rogers the Musical about Steve Rogers. Can we get Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark about Peter Parker in the MCU?
Can Betty Bugle, whatever her last name is, can she be the stage manager and that be why the entire thing is a disaster?
It's a high school production. Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yes, Reeve Carney. Get Reeve Carney in the MCU. I told Liz that Reeve Carney is the guy in the I Knew You Were Trouble Taylor Swift music video, and it blew her mind. I think at the end it might be revealed who Echo's uncle is and who exactly Eleanor and Jack is. See,
we know who Jack is for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not someone on this show. Continue.
He's got his wax mustache, twiddling his thumbs, like, He's gonna turn around like in a big high back chair, like stroking a cat pretty soon.
Amazing.
I am Jack.
Liz
is Jack.
I also keep waiting for the scene where Jack has a saber and it's just like pushing it against his palm and like playing with it. You know, like how those weird swordsmen do. They're just like, like I'm waiting for that moment.
Oh, that's why Liz isn't here. She's filming reshoots for episode 5. So,
gotcha.
She had to regrow her mustache. It was a whole situation.
Yeah, that's why she can't be on camera. Have y'all seen? I'm gonna try and see if I can send it in the chat so Liz can put it up. Have y'all seen the screen grab of is this it? Hold on.
Okay, let's talk about that, because if nothing's resolved and this continues forever, I'm gonna be pissed off, because we need some resolution. Give it to us, please.
And
you can have good hooks and resolve things at the same time. You don't need to just leave everything just there without resolving it. You can do a full, production that doesn't rely on everything else. You can do that. It's fine. Please.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna keep talking.
No, I feel like the Disney Plus shows have kind of how do I want to put this? Have kind of relied on the fact that like there will be something that can fix it afterwards, hopefully. And so they're leaving them all unresolved. And it's like, but if you can't, like, I don't feel like you can tie up the loose ends of like 20 shows. So like at some point you're going to have to start resolving things, or else it just becomes like a English like a writing cheat. I was trying to come up with another way to say that, but
okay, I just sent Liz a screen grab. I didn't.
Yeah, you're using.
No, this is separate. Keep going.
Okay, they're using the knowledge that there will be future stories as a like crutch to not tell complete stories, to not give us a full experience. And that's really frustrating because so many people are just now starting to get involved with Marvel, and you're not giving them full stories, and they're gonna be pissed off about that and then stop watching. If you want to include more audiences, you have to tell stories that don't rely on everything else. You have to tell stories that you can just watch just that and be fine. Like, yes, I understand the importance of having everything tied together and having some things that you need to know all the history to understand and experience. That's fine. But you have to give people some place to start, to get involved, and they're not giving people that right now. And that's really frustrating because I just got into Marvel this year, and that's a long time to get involved. There's so much content, and you're not giving like after the blip is a perfect like starting place, but you're not giving us stories that are just relying on knowing that that happened and nothing else. And that's like what I'm upset about with Marvel right now.
Yeah, and it feels like they're setting things up. Like, I know that they do this where they set things up for like 3 or 4 years in advance. But if you leave it wide open, there's no resolution. Like, I love Falcon and the Winter Soldier for this because it ends.
Yeah.
It's done, and you know what their arc was, and you know what, like, it's a nice little package. Because, like, even with WandaVision, I had a really hard time with, because I would have been happy if they walked back into the house, he whatever, goes away, blah, 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 it's over, she leaves. I didn't need any more. I didn't need White Vision going off into who knows where. And I know I'm going to see her in Multiverse of Madness, but, like, I don't know how she's going to be. I don't know is she going to be a villain? Is she going to be a hero? Is she going to be some weird side character? I don't know. Falcon and the Winter Soldier just wrapped it all nicely together. Bucky is happy he has a family. Sam is Captain America. He has a friend and people to support him and some badass wings. Like, there you go.
but no cat.
But no cat. Okay. Kate, Liz needs us to talk about this. I sent Liz this picture. This is from the episode 5 promo. People are theorizing that this is YELENA and Sharon Carter. How do we feel about that? Because I see it, but I don't know that it makes sense.
Sharon, give her something better.
Well, that's been the...
See, it looks like Sharon, but, like, is Sharon working for Val? Is Eleanor working for Sharon? Like, or is that just not Sharon? I don't know.
Well, and the theory for a while was that Sharon was working adjacent to Val as well. So then that whole thing becomes it's a fight I would be interested in seeing.
I always want Sharon to fight more. They never let her fight enough.
And they gave her their really distinct fighting style, and it worked.
I don't trust them with her now.
Well,
I don't trust their storytelling for her character, and that's so upsetting for me, because she's amazing, but they just so many times they just destroyed her character. So we had a comment about episode 5 releases Wednesday, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and then episode 6. Do we think there be any relation, any impact?
I don't, because I think that they're not going to count on everybody seeing it in between. And so it would be like, I think that maybe that you could possibly say that like this, I don't think you can say this show can influence Spider-Man because it's not done yet. And I don't think you can say Spider-Man can influence a show because that would assume that everybody saw it like right when it came out.
Yeah.
I just don't know that they're going to take that risk.
At least we have Rogers the Musical.
Exactly.
One more thing before we move on to our game. Any theories about the watch from Avengers Compound? Whose it is?
It would be cooler if it
Not
was
a Rolodex. So I don't know.
Not a Rolodex.
I, for whatever reason, sorry, we said that at the same time and we sounded like the same person. It really freaked me out. Yes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did do it with Winter Soldier. You are right, Sam. It was a very smart question. What was I going to say? What was the question? Oh,
about the
watch.
The Rolodex. I think my thought was that it was Natasha's. I don't know why that was my thought, but my thought was that like it was a bestie present, and that it was Natasha's, and that it was maybe a way that Clint could track her in case anything happened to her, and that's why they could pick up that it was a tracker. That was my thought. But I also lived in 2012 fanfictionville, unlike some people in this live. So
I mean, I've gone back. I've been there.
Okay.
I initially thought it was Tony's. I don't know why. It just felt like his vibe.
Rolex, yeah.
But then that didn't really make sense because they started talking about it being someone who's still alive or who could still be hurt. And then I thought Fury.
Oh.
Because they talk about like they've gone away, but like it's still tied to their identity, and it like
it's because
it's
Natasha
important to a lot
Laura
of people
in a hollow mask.
That and also Mephisto.
And also Mephisto.
I don't know. That was my second rewatch. I was like, or my rewatch, I guess. I was like, maybe it's Fury. It just like started to sound like Fury to me because he had that like storage locker at the end of Winter Soldier that he just like burnt, and then he just disappeared and became a Skrull at some point. So I don't know if it's like something about like the actual Nick Fury or Skrull Nick Fury, or if it has nothing to do with Nick Fury. But it would be like a fun connection sort of setup for Secret Invasion, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I didn't think of this, but somebody said something about it maybe being I think it was Mario actually said it might be the watch that had the Iron Man suit in it. And that was interesting, but it's related to somebody who's has like a secret identity. So like now I have no idea.
Unless Pepper
is it Peter Parker?
And it's Peppers.
Is it Pepper Potts?
Is it a Spider-Man No Way Home tie-in? I don't know.
I could see
it's Alpine.
It's Alpine.
Yes.
Alpine's Rolodex.
Alpine's wears it as a collar, and Alpine's secret identity is being in the MCU, and so that's why it's important. And Alpine is still alive, but Alpine will also scratch your face off, so don't mess with her.
Can we have an invisible cat? She's been there the whole time, but she's just invisible.
Like in an invisibility cloak. It's a spray that he puts on her, like that hair dye from Hot Topic in like 2010. It's like that, but it's an invisibility shield.
I had another thought. What was my other thought? Oh no! Liz is about to put the
I can't help
Santa
you.
thing up.
I can feel it coming.
What was my thought? Hold on, let me go back through the comments. What was my thought? Oh,
Was it
no.
about Scott and the relation with the Pym arrows?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, no. Oh, what was it?
I also found the arrow situation weird. We do need to talk about the boomerang arrow moment, but I found it weird because in other properties, is JJ still here? JJ will get me. In other properties, the whole point is that any shaft can go on any arrowhead. That is literally the entire point of the round-around quiver. I don't understand why we're like, oh no, you have to have, like, it's the shafts that are important. I was like, what? Since when? That's the dumbest design known to mankind. Like, what?
That's like zero common sense. I don't understand.
Oh,
Also-
my brother, when we were watching the episode, he was like, how do trick arrows work for a second time? Like, because they collect them and use them again. And he was like, isn't if you, like, shoot the putty is gone?
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm like, okay,
You
so
can't
the
reuse
boomerang
that.
arrows are a big deal in the faction, right? And possibly fan fiction that someone here wrote, right? But the boomerang arrows are a big deal. And so I think we talked about the boomerang arrows in like episode 2 or 3. I went on a rant about the boomerangs and how important they are because they always come back in the end. So to get them in this episode, I felt really like validated that we did like the boomerang bit. And it stays in line with this thing that like Marvel hasn't really done before, right? Because the MCU does this thing where they drop Easter eggs. I think this show has been really one of the first shows to directly utilize and almost rely on comic book commentary to be able to understand the show to like its full potential, which is a risky choice. But it reminds me of certain other Archer related shows that drew direct comparisons to kind of like some of the more hilarious moments in the comics in order to validate archery, which this show hasn't done in the same way, right? But it is like picking fun at it in its source material in a way that's really interesting. It just seems like they are borrowing a lot from the tone of other shows that someone may have named their cats after. The end.
I remembered what I wanted to say.
Not me.
I remember what I wanted to say, and then I promised Liz we're gonna play the game.
I feel like it's gonna start coming
all
through
of
in
you
all
who
caps.
can't see.
Game time.
Liz keeps commenting. Game time?
Game time.
We've got a private chat, and she's like, "Game, let's go to the game." One last thing, it's not really a prediction; it's just something that I want. I have said from the beginning that I think, unfortunately, we're gonna get Yelena in this surrogate daughter role with Clint as well as Kate. He's gonna do
I hope not.
Yeah, he's gonna do the like thing that he did with Nat, where he was like, "You can be good." Situation, and I think that's gonna happen. But I want Kate and Yelena to be besties, and I want their dogs to be besties. Give me Lucky and Fanny having a grand old time. Thank you. Game time.
Let's go.
Okay. So, am I setting up the game? Is that what's happening now?
Yeah,
I don't
your
know
game.
what the game is.
Great.
It's Mrs. Game.
Oh,
I was not prepared for this.
Lucky and Fanny to be dog besties. Yes. Okay. This game, I was trying to think. I put my Liz cap on, and I was like trying to think like Liz of like, what is a game that we could play? Because at that point, I had been the only one that had seen the episode. And so I thought about Liz's favorite game, which is what song would this Avenger listen to? Usually about Taylor Swift. And this is the movie marathon episode where Kate and Clint have a Christmas movie marathon. And so I thought we could do Liz's favorite game, but with Christmas movies. So what Christmas movie would this Avenger watch? I have put zero thought into it beyond that. So I have no answers. Other than, I have like one, but it's not actually correct. Maybe two. I'm thinking as I'm talking. Okay. I know Alexis has one, so she's ready to go.
I do have one. I do. But it's, yeah. I don't want to go first. Do you want me to go first? Do I need to go first?
I don't know. How do we do this?
First.
Should we
Okay,
go through like...
Oh, should we go through Avengers?
Well, should we go through like the original 6 and then like go from there and then more characters, or should we go through Hawkeye characters?
I feel like mine is not of the original 6, so I feel like
I need to go
first to set the tone. It's not Bucky.
Oh my god. Okay, great. Alexis is ready.
Okay, so this is a Hallmark movie. It's a Hallmark movie that has a sequel that destroyed the promise of the premise, and I'm still really mad about it, okay? But I feel like Alpine would like to watch The 9 Lives of Christmas, which is a movie where Brandon Routh, who has been in a lot of superhero properties, falls in love with a vet because the fire station adopts a cat, and so it is The 9 Lives of Christmas. And then the sequel is like 9 Kittens of Christmas, and there are, wait for it, 9 kittens that need to be adopted as firefighter Brandon Routh falls back in love with the veterinarian.
Amazing.
And I think Alpine would enjoy it. If not, the runner-up is Murder, She Baked, which is a series of Hallmark movies, one that takes place during Christmas, that, wait for it, involves a cat that helps solve a crime.
That sounds like Alpine's jam.
Mm-hmm.
So Liz has figured out this game for us. She's just going to give us random Avengers, and we're going to have to decide on their favorite Christmas movie.
Okay.
So please also give your answers in the chat. First up, we have Tracksuit Mafia. What Christmas movie would the Tracksuit Mafia watch?
Die Hard!
Obviously.
Love that.
Obviously. Amazing.
I mean, we already saw her for Kate, right?
They watched It's a Wonderful Life, but I feel like that was like the happy medium between like the old man and the child.
It's a weird happy medium.
Well, it's like, family favorite. Listen, this is going too fast.
Oh, hang on.
I have no idea.
Christmas Vacation?
It's a good one.
I don't know.
Let's go with it.
Skip.
Lizzie says, okay, JJ says Tracksuit Mafia is Home Alone. Lizzie O says, I feel like Tony is a diehard truther. Hank is
I was going to say Die Hard for Tony. I was gonna say that. That was my one. I have 2 ideas. That was one of them.
I agree with Cat218_ says Kate Bishop is the Santa Claus trilogy. I agree because those are my favorite.
That's fair.
And I feel like Kate and I are of one heart. Monica Rambeau. What Christmas movie would Monica Rambeau watch? It's either going to be something really Hallmarky and like really sweet, or like totally badass. Love Actually? No, Love Actually is Wanda.
Love Actually is Wanda.
Monica Rambeau. Ooh. What about like...
I feel like it's like the Christmas version of You've Got Mail. What is the Christmas version of You've Got Mail?
The Holiday? That's Nancy Meyers.
Oh, maybe. You look just like one of our Barbies. It's from The Holiday. Anyway, continue.
I thought of The Holiday for Sam. I don't know why.
All right.
I feel like Sam Wilson would jam to The Holiday. Himbo Thor from What If.
See, I feel like Himbo Thor from What If is a Christmas Vacation person too.
I would say that Thor would be like the animated Grinch. I don't know.
The like original or the Benedict Cumberbatch?
No, the
Wimbledon
original.
tennis
The
match.
original.
Please go watch Liz's The Grinch.
It's great.
MCU video. It's very good. The Princess Switch cat. Who is the Princess Switch for? And which of the 3 Princess Switch movies are you speaking of?
It cracks me up that every year we get another one of those, and I'm like equal parts scared and excited.
And both are Jingle All the Way.
That's
yeah, maybe.
One. I know Liz is giving us characters, but I think Scott would love Krampus.
I lost my friends.
I think what's his name? Kurt would show him and he'd fall.
Baba Yaga. The Baba Yaga. Yeah. Maybe. I feel like Scott would be scared.
The Watcher.
The Watcher.
Gremlins. I don't know why, but I think the Watcher would love
one of the 15 Doctor Who Christmas specials.
Yeah. What about the one where David Tennant says "Circle of Life" from Lion King? From the day they arrived on the planet. Hold on, that's just Lion King.
Peter just watches the Star Wars holiday special.
Ooh.
Agreed, Sam. Agreed.
Mysterio.
The All Too Well short film.
Yeah, I was gonna say just the Taylor Swift Christmas album. Oh no, Mysterio would be something like pretentious. Like, what's a fancy Christmas movie? I don't think he would. No, actually, he wouldn't watch Christmas movies. He doesn't like Christmas.
They would be too mainstream.
Too stuck up.
Unlike his indie artists.
That are much cooler than mine.
Cooler than mine, yep.
Loki, but specifically the scene where he's pretending to be Odin in Thor: Dark World. Wait,
Polar
he pretends to be
Express.
Odin in
Polar
Ragnarok,
Express,
Liz.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, he pretends
That's
to
Ragnarok.
Be... Is it?
He pretends to be Steve in Dark World.
I thought the play was in
That's Ragnarok.
Dark World. Is it?
I feel like there were multiple plays.
Thank you for the sass, Liz. I appreciate that.
I somehow need Liz to be on every episode, but also do this every episode. Like I need like there to be 2 Liz's.
Also, to be
one
clear,
that is like up here and composed, and one that is like texting sass in the group chat the whole time.
Sam is an elf fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, to be clear, Liz was like, I don't have energy to do the show. You guys can do it without me. I'll just start the live. And then has been here the whole time.
Some triple fire sign couldn't let go.
I think Bucky feels like a Christmas Story to me. But he would just like yell at the TV the whole time, be like, why are you putting your tongue on the pole? You're gonna shoot your eye out.
I also feel like he has a weird sentimentality for White Christmas. Like I feel like that's Bucky
Liz,
and Sam's movie.
No, Alexis.
What?
No.
But yes.
The first 10 minutes of that movie are war. No.
Yes.
Same.
He's gonna start having
need that in my
I guarantee you can find that fix somewhere. I'm not the first.
Why are you putting that in my head? I don't need that sadness.
You're welcome. I put that in your head. I put the Damien Moreau affair in your head. It's all my fault.
Why would you? Oh no.
Alexis loves destroying my little remaining sanity.
All of them, all of these people,
sorry, not sorry,
including Liz, are like, give me all the pain. I'm like, I want 50,000 words of fluff. Okay, Pizza the dog. What is a Christmas movie that really heavily features pizza?
Or just food in general.
Or dogs. Is Balto a Christmas movie? What was that weird Christmas movie or that weird dog movie that Jeremy Renner was in where he voiced the dog and it sang and it had that very long... this is a thing.
No.
Yes. It had a thing. Here, I'm looking it up.
I'm booing her because why would Bucky want
Arctic
to
Dogs.
watch a movie
It's
about
Arctic
his
Dogs.
trauma?
And the dog sang, and it was like before he released his first COVID album. But Arctic Dogs. Jeremy Renner voiced a dog.
Oh my
I
God.
think Pizza Dog can do better than that. Bucky watches the Christmas Shoes movie? No. JJ, no. Sarah and her boys.
Elf.
Yeah. Home Alone.
Home Alone. Yeah.
Home Alone
I
was
like that.
incredibly traumatizing for me.
Because you
It
thought you were
was.
going to be left home alone?
Yes.
I also feel like Bucky sincerely would like the original Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, yeah. Is there a new one?
Well, the one with Mara Wilson from the 90s.
Yeah. Is there any others?
Oh, no. There's like an old
There's
black
like
and
an
white
old,
one.
like an old one.
Like from the, hold on.
30s or 40s, right?
Yeah, it's like he could
No,
have
it's
watched
old.
it as a child. 1947. Okay, so he was frozen by then.
Yeah.
Okay, Clint's kids while waiting for him to
Clint's
fulfill his
kids
empty
while waiting.
promise.
All of them.
Yeah.
They've been
What is
waiting
a
a while.
Christmas movie about a bad dad? It's a Wonderful Life. I feel like the Santa Claus kind of feels like he's a bad dad. And then the power of Christmas makes him realize that he's got to do better, even though he really doesn't. He moves to the North Pole instead of down the street. It's fine. Clint's kids, Home Alone, only because the kids get left behind by the parents. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. If the three Spider-Mans had to sit in one room and watch a Christmas movie, which would they argue over being bad, good, / ahead of its time? Are any of them in any Christmas movies? They're not in any of the Christmas movies. Alexis doesn't want to talk about Spider-Man.
It just hides behind a tree.
What about okay. Tom Holland's Peter Parker would want to watch Arthur Christmas. I thought Arthur Christmas, Liz. Yeah.
That's
or
fair.
I want one of them to watch the Elf on the Shelf movie, just because as a nanny, I was forced to watch that every day for about 2 weeks before Christmas. And I just want somebody to have to watch that too. Okay. Together, Natasha and Yelena's Christmas movie together. Noel.
I feel like they wouldn't watch a Christmas
I want to say the holiday for that one too.
At Christmas time. I feel like they would have like a tradition of like watching some other movie, but like do that every year.
I think they would have like a double feature where Yelena would insist on a Christmas movie and then Natasha would be like, we can watch a Christmas movie, but we have to watch like a normal movie too. Like they'll watch a Christmas movie and then watch her favorite James Bond movie. Because she watches James Bond and Black Widow.
Which is a lot to unpack.
I could see that.
But it happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no.
More scenarios. Oh, Lord.
Can I just say that I feel like Silk would enjoy Sugar and Spice, and now we can move on. Okay.
That's fair.
I don't know Sugar and Spice. Okay. Snowden at Stark Tower, like full Avengers 2012 fanfic situation.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Clint is like watching from the vent upside down.
Okay, JJ keeps saying Sound of Music. That's not a Christmas movie. Just because My Favorite Things is in it, does Christmas even happen in that movie?
Isn't that a war movie?
With Yahtzees.
But we sing, so everything's okay.
Really?
This is weird to me.
Interesting.
Also, I have
Canada
never
is
seen
weird.
Sound of Music. So the
Never?
first Sound of Music that I
Really?
watched was the one where Carrie Underwood did it. Do you remember that happening?
I do, and
And let me
Christian
tell
Borle
you-
and Laura Benanti.
Yes, and then
I
I had
watched
to
it
go back and
for-
watch the original. I watched it in the wrong order.
Oh, and Audra McDonald as Mother Superior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Amazing.
Climb every mountain. Okay. Snowden at Stark Tower.
I
It's
feel
gotta be
like
a marathon.
Yeah, I feel like they would start a marathon though, and then somebody would be like, let's have a snowball fight, and they would figure out how to manufacture snow like on the top floor of Stark Tower, and it would be like a 72 floor 4-day snowball fight.
What about like just a Die Hard marathon? Because aren't there like 4 Die Hards?
There are
That
4.
seems like appropriate. That might be, I mean, that depends on like if we're living in the MCU or if we're living in like fan fiction where we validate people's trauma because maybe we don't want to watch
And
4
then
action
eventually we
movies
just
for
end up watching like
Christmas.
the animated Rudolph, but it triggers some Russian spy that had to watch it to learn English. Like,
Sure. Yeah, we could do just like the claymation marathon of like Rudolph and Year Without a Santa Claus.
Every year I cry through that claymation Rudolph.
Yeah.
Clint and Natasha in the vents can watch one Christmas movie.
Clint and Natasha in the vents can watch one Christmas movie.
I feel like this would be such a Grace question. This is deeply like a Bucky's ex-wife question, and she's not here.
Is this like one Christmas movie that they have to watch while they're stuck up in the vents in Budapest for 2 days? Or is this like just they're in the vents for the duration of one Christmas movie?
That wasn't Christmas time.
They're
right?
in the vents
but they were
at
in the
Stark
vents
Tower,
for 2
and
days.
in between
True.
sabotaging people with snowballs, they have to watch a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Barbie Nutcracker.
There you go. Okay.
Specifically Barbie, though.
I have feelings
Specifically
about
Barbie
the
one.
Nutcracker, but we could talk about that at a different time.
Like
The
traumatic
Nutcracker
feelings.
owes
strong
me about
feelings about
50 toes is what the Nutcracker owes me.
I never did it. Bucky's allowed to be
Oh.
happy for literally 2 hours. What Christmas movie does he watch?
The 9 Lives of Christmas, and he watches it with Alpine. I'm taking no criticism at this time.
I'm trying to think of a movie that is
and poorly dubbed.
I'm trying to think of a movie that is truly happy because I would say Love Actually, but that movie is not happy for most of it.
I don't know. I can't help you here. I'm sorry.
The Christmas episode of Leverage Redemption, where the guy gets to go off and have a good life after being a spy.
Oh, actually, okay. Annie is a good idea, except that he was a child during the Great Depression. Which is sort of traumatic, and I don't know if that would make him happy.
Where are you?
What? Oh, Bucky should watch The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Bucky should watch The Muppet Christmas Carol. That will keep him happy for 2 hours.
Out to turn it off. What movie is it?
Muppets.
Home Alone, because it's traumatizing.
Bruce Banner wants
And
to watch a movie and
stressful.
The Polar Express, because that was the one I was traumatized by as a
That's a
child.
weirdly traumatizing movie. There's a Polar Express train like an hour from where I live, and kids get to ride it in their pajamas and eat cocoa and meet Santa. And I'm just like, but the book was so great, but the movie to me was a traumatizing experience.
The book?
I feel like the Hulk would hate the Jim Carrey Grinch.
Yeah, I could see that.
Agreed.
He would just be like, they're mocking me.
That's a good one. That's well thought out.
Thank you. I looked up a list of Christmas movies, so now I can't
smart.
Just forget.
All right, we're riffing.
La 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 la.
I maintain Wanda Love Actually.
Yes, I agree with that.
Liz has a technical issue. Okay, last one. Wait, what, Sly?
I was gonna riff, and I was gonna say, if you could put one dance number into Rogers the Musical, what dance style would it be in, and why? And, like, where in the story? Like, why would you put it there?
We talked about Peggy having a tap number. I don't know that I want that, though.
We did talk about it, Peggy having a tap number.
I feel like the fight at the end of Civil War between Steve and Tony and Bucky would be like the angry dance in Billy Elliot, where it's just like grunting and a lot of like throwing arms.
Yeah, I love the angry dance in Billy Elliot.
I love the angry dance in Billy Elliot.
Fun fact, I was a huge Billy Elliot stan, and so that's what I know Tom Holland from.
As you should. Love Billy Elliot. Okay, JJ says dream ballet of Bucky and Steve falling and choosing each other just for it to be brought back to the end when Steve leaves him. How
I
rude.
love that. I was
going to say that in my version of Rogers and the Musical, I want Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but first with Bucky and Steve, and then with Steve and Peggy as Steve chooses to go back to Peggy.
I love that.
I say, assuming everyone has seen Smash, which is not the case.
There was a bombshell reference this episode, and it really made me think of you on her tote bag that says bombshell. I was like, bombshell Alexis, bombshell. Okay, last scenario. Civil War Christmas edition. The Avengers are split on liking/disliking Hallmark/Lifetime movies. They will have a huge fight over this. Who were the two teams, liking versus disliking?
And yet this scenario makes more sense than Civil War.
Peter Parker is anti-Hallmark movie because Aunt May likes Hallmark movies.
That's a good one. I feel like Bucky is pro-Hallmark movie.
I also feel like Bucky is pro-Hallmark movie. But like Steve and Sam are really pro-Hallmark movies. And Bucky is like, I don't want to be here, but he secretly is like, I absolutely want to be here.
I feel like, never mind. Somebody else talk.
No, go.
No, I had that thought, but I think it's too controversial.
Put it in the chat.
Exactly.
I'll tell you if it's controversial. What about
I'm trying to think of who was in Civil War.
Okay, Civil War is Steve, Bucky, Sam, Sharon, Scott, Clint, Nat, Wanda, Vision, Rhodey, Tony.
Alexis, you should say that out loud.
T'Challa. No, Alexis, say that out loud, please. We haven't had enough.
I think that Tony Stark is anti-Hallmark because of toxic masculinity. The end.
The end.
Yeah.
The end.
That makes sense. I don't think that's a controversial take. I think that just makes sense with how he was written. Cool. Natasha would act like she hated them around everyone, but watch Hallmark movies when alone. That's very interesting. I like that idea. She's got a tough exterior.
I do too.
I also like Bruce hates them, but humors Thor when he watches them. I think that sums
Wanda
up
is
their
pro.
dynamic very well.
Yeah,
Wanda
Wanda's
absolutely.
pro.
Yes. Yeah.
Vision doesn't understand what's going on, but he's happy to be there.
Yeah.
He's trying to like rationalize it. He's like, I don't understand. She gave up this high-powered job for a man she met 2 days ago.
Yeah, I take that back. Vision would not like them.
I don't think he would dislike them. I think he would appreciate the like love and joy, but he wouldn't understand. Like he wouldn't understand the logic of it. Okay. Liking Scott, Clint, Wanda, Vision, Peter, Bucky, Steve, Sam. Dislike Tony, Nat, Clint, Sharon, T'Challa, and
Clint was on both lists.
I feel like that's on brand though, because I feel like it depends on who he's with.
That's very true. Yeah. Scott absolutely likes Hallmark movies.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, he's done with TV for a while.
Yeah,
Like we don't need to watch TV every night. Who else?
All right. Well, this has been pure chaos, and I have loved every second with you lovely people.
As we promised.
As we promised.
Thank you, Liz, for facilitating a game on a show you weren't supposed to be at.
We love you, though. Like, I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I love you.
My one request for all of you lovely people who are joining us right now, go send Liz all of the love and support and appreciation, because we would not be here if not for Liz. She brought us all together. She's running the show. She's facilitating our discussions. And she's the best.
Yeah.
So
can
go
everybody
give her our love.
And she's also a Leo. So make sure you tell her that you love her.
Yeah, can everybody drop a get well, Liz? Or like we love you, or like just go follow her. Drop some love in the chat for Liz. At Producer Liz on TikTok and Instagram. At Liz G Duff on Twitter. At Love of My Life in my heart.
Second, all of that.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to cover? I think we did it.
Do we want to talk about the characters that we haven't been talking about for the past 3 episodes?
Oh, that have been on our planning sheet?
Who are these characters?
I would love for you to educate me, and I will smile and nod.
Wait, who are the characters?
Swordsman, Madam Mask.
Kingpin, and Madam Mask.
I am convinced that Mom is Madam Mask, and I know everybody thinks that is the lame prediction.
No.
I saw like 20 TikTok videos this week about like, oh, how that's blah, blah, blah. But I really want that to be the thing, right? And I think what's fascinating about it, right, is that like even in the Fraction Hawkeye, Madam Mask is a bit of a villain for Kate, right? Like Kate and Madam Mask have like a history. In the comics, Eleanor works for Madam Mask for a short period of time, and she has that like bob. So the first episode where her bob was like so short, I was like, please let Eleanor Bishop be.
Can you give a little bit of backstory on who Madam Mask is in
She is a
the
bad
world?
woman that bothers the Hawkeyes.
She's a super villain who wants to find a body with superpowers for herself so she could become even more powerful. And I think she's also an LMD and just kind of vibing in the consciousness. Super villain. I don't know what else to tell you.
Cool.
Who else was it? Oh, the swordsman was interesting in this episode. Okay. I had to explain the swordsman in real time to my mother. Because one of the, like, The swordsman in the comics has this like time period in one of Hawkeye's many origin stories that we rewrite 72 times. The swordsman trained Clint, right? And so there are actually a couple issues later where Kate fights with one of Swordsman's swords, and like that's a whole thing, right? But he was very much like a not nice trainer to Clint Barton, a very traumatizing trainer to Clint Barton. And I found that to be so interesting.
Time at the circus.
Yes, from his time at the circus. And I found it to be so interesting in this episode because Jack plays the very much like Flash villain, being like, oh, you're the Hawkeye, you're here. And it's very funny, like when you know that this was a terribly abusive man that trained him in some of the early comics.
Do we have any thoughts? Just going back really quickly to Kate's mom, do we have any thoughts about if she yoinked Brian Darcy James? Cat218_ says she had to have unalived Kate's dad in the first episode. It makes so much sense.
I don't think he said.
Ooh. I think
we didn't see a body. This series has done a lot about flipping gender roles from the comic story arcs. And so in the comics, her mom's dead and then comes back and works for Madame Mask and is actually alive. Go read West Coast Adventures. It's so good. But I don't think he's dead. I think they flipped that storyline and he's gonna show up somewhere. I don't know if it's gonna be here or later, but I think especially if they get a season 2.
And I wonder if it's a thing where he has like faked his unaliving because of stuff that Eleanor was into and like has been trying to like plot a way to like get Kate and protect Kate this whole time or something like that.
Yeah.
I think mom is no good.
Oh, no. She's no good. And isn't Kate's apartment in the first few episodes, didn't she like inherit that from her dad? And her mom seems to like really disapprove of that. I feel like there's not. They were not very happy with each other.
And the mom was not happy that Kate preferred dad, right? That Kate had the big
very
connection
bitter
with
about
dad.
it. Yeah. Okay. JJ says, do we think that Eleanor being Madame Mask, that they'll take the path of making Kate cynical and hardened? I feel like it would be the easy path, but I don't want it. Like, her mom becomes the villain and then she's like out for vengeance. I think that would be the easy way, but I don't think that's where it's going. Just with the way Haley is playing Kate and sort of generally with the way Haley is.
I will say one of the interesting things in the Fraction run that I feel like this show has done okay, but like could have done better, right? Is like I feel like the tracksuit bros really work in the Fraction run because there was always a bigger bad that you were worried about. And like that they have worked less well in this show because it's not clear who the big bad is. And when we got to like, I think it was episode 3, was episode 3 where Baby Echo was introduced?
Yes.
Is that 3?
Yeah.
I felt like 3, like all of the threads like all loose ends led to Kingpin, right? Like the tracksuit mafia have been involved with Kingpin in the comics. Like there were just all of these things, right? Like I was like, oh, Kingpin is going to be like the big bad. That is not at all how I felt after this episode at all. And I want to know what fast fact about Alexis is obsessed with the mafia, right? Which is a lot to unpack as a statement, but it's true. And so I am endlessly fascinated by this weird hierarchy that apparently has Kingpin at the top and the tracksuit bros down here, but Jack Duquesne somewhere in the middle, which is not making a whole lot of sense to me. And I want to know
honestly that arc
in the hierarchy.
Yeah,
I think it's tracksuit, Echo, Jack, Eleanor, Kingpin.
See, I can't.
And do you think that? But do you think that Jack and Eleanor know about each other? Because I don't.
No, I think Eleanor's higher than Jack, but Jack thinks he's under Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like then Maya can't know because I feel like Echo would not give two shits about Jack UK.
No,
I think Echo reports directly to Kingpin,
Okay.
but Jack is like funding.
Oh,
her.
gotcha. Okay.
that all makes sense. Yeah.
You know, Echo's connection with Fisk is so strong. Like that has to be a tie there.
Well, and it's kind of weird. Okay. It's kind of weird that what was I gonna say? That in this episode we put a pin in the hierarchy being important. Because he's like, you've been a lieutenant under so and so, and like you've been a lieutenant for this long, and like that has to bother you when Clint is having his conversation with Kazi. But it's like, but we don't know what that hierarchy is, so it's less impactful to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many questions.
My final thoughts, real quick. I think they're trying to really set it up that Jack killed Armand, which means he didn't. And I don't know who the big bad is going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Eleanor as Madame Mask or Kingpin. And I wish we got a hint this episode. Like, this is like the end of Act 2. We needed to know a taste of where we're going, and we didn't get that. So that's my final thoughts on the future.
I agree with all of that. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more of Yelena based on this episode, like the Act 3 promo. It looks like we're getting a lot more of her than I expected. I'm very excited. To be clear, I'm not watching the show for Clint. I'm watching it for the girls. And I'm sorry if that upsets you. It's just how it is. That's me. Alexis, final thoughts.
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
No. My final thoughts were kind of the hierarchy thing. I don't have any more final thoughts.
Great. Liz says
Alpine. I do. Alpine, justice for Alpine. Alpine needs to be in the MCU. It's Alpine's Rolodex from the Cold War.
That's an old cat. Okay.
It lives forever. It's like an Egyptian deity.
That was Goose.
Okay. Well, is Goose still
Goose
alive?
is a Flurkin.
Also,
Well,
yeah. We haven't seen Goose since the 90s. We don't know about
I'm also sad because there was a Goose
to...
Christmas special last year, and there hasn't been a Goose Christmas special so far this year.
Alrighty. We did it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Drop some Feel Better Liz, some love for Liz one more time. Follow her if you're not already at Producer Liz on TikTok and Instagram. You can go if you want to join us next week to Liz's Instagram as well. She will be sharing when we will be live next week. Because of Spider-Man and, because of the holidays and everything, it might not be the same time next week, but we will be live and we will be talking about episode 5, and it'll be chaos and there'll be rants and games again, I'm sure. So thanks so much for joining us. Alexis, where can people find you? I'm channeling my Liz.
I'm at Alexis Blake Reads Comics on the TikTok and Instagram, and other links are in my bio if you need them. And I used to always say that I post about comics, and I haven't done that in a while. So I'm getting back to posting about comics and the fact that I read them. If you want recommendations, I'm going to do that through Christmas. So you can message me on Instagram, and I'll do recommendation lists for people. All right.
Sly.
If you want me ranting about 911 and all my 911 hot takes, follow me on Twitter at CycloneMC. If you want deaf education, deaf creators, that kind of thing. Follow me on Instagram at SlyCloneMC. If you want me yelling about Tick Tick Boom, follow me on TikTok at SlyCloneMC. And of course, you can always find me over at Point in Progress, where I host a couple shows, I co-host a couple shows, I produce a couple shows. It's lots of fun. Go check out Point in Progress on everything. Everywhere. We're everywhere. Come find us. That's a threat.
Do it now. Point in Progress on the MC University podcast did a great extra credit episode recapping the first bit of Hawkeye, and you can hear a lot more about Sly's thoughts on Def Rep in Hawkeye over there.
Who's logged in? Because that's not me this time. Is that Mario? Hey, Mario.
And I'm at Miss Obabissa on everything, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Liz will post about next week's Dark Radio on Instagram. I will post about it on Twitter. If you're active over there, you can follow me there for the updates. That's it. We did it. I'm so proud of us. We did it without Liz, even though that's not really true.
We did not do it without Liz.
She was here the whole time. And that's Liz at Producer Liz on TikTok and Instagram. Follow her too. Send her all the love. She will have the live events for everything next week. And we'll be back again to talk episode 5.
See y'all later.
Bye, everybody. Oh, like Liz says, we should end the TikTok live first. Okay, goodbye, TikTok. Bye, thank you.
Because I'm a guest this time.
Okay.
Yay.
TikTok is over. And now goodbye to YouTube and Twitch. We're still